Okay, I'm just fixing up this. Now I just go with a line and then I'll try to do this. Let's say my width of this is around 130 mm. So I like to go it as like 1000 mm. So it's 1 meter. And now if you just see, this is where somehow it is going on. The Somnesh knows how to control this. This and to this, you can just go make it as. Okay, like this you can able to go. I'm just going adding up a measured distance and then I'm just trying to do this one. So now it's completely in a green color. That means it's fully constrained. Yeah. Now coming on to this, I have asked you a question called as a degrees of freedom. You got any literature survey on that? Did
So
you guys
number of
got any time to go through it? What is degrees of freedom?
so number of independent movements.
Yeah, the number of independent. Sorry, I didn't get your last word.
Sir, the number of independent movements.
The number of independent movements. Okay. Yeah, you're correct, but finish up the sentence.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's actually the number of independent, like freedoms, like in the end boundary, in boundaries or the supports. We have three end conditions like horizontal, horizontal reaction, vertical reaction, or and resistance and moment. If these three are somewhat restricted, then the degree of freedom will reduce. Actually, we
No,
have
no. I'm
maximum.
asking what is degrees of freedom? When it is reduced, when it is increased, it doesn't matter. I'm just asking what is degrees of freedom? Okay. I'll just make it like this. The first one who I don't know who mentioned that, I sorry didn't remember the name, but that's what actually the degrees of freedom. That's a textbook statement or some other statement. It says in the same way. The number of independent variables required, the number of independent variables required to specify the position of an object or to specify the position of it is nothing but your degrees of freedom. So you take any object and if you want to say this is located at so and so position, then you need what is a minimum number of variables. Okay, when I just say this is my XY plane, right? This is my XY plane. That means only XY it is there. On the third directions, I didn't have anything. So as this is an XY plane, to represent any point on any positions over here, any positions over here, I can just able to mention it is only 2 dimensions. It does not mean that a 2D will have only 2 degrees of freedom. Okay, it's just representing that it's just 2D. But if you just remember this, guys, when I'm just trying to create this particular problem, right click edit, when I just create a part, the very first thing that I'm taking it as a 3D. First thing I'm just taking it as a 3D, and then it's a deformable. And that what is the modeling size? I'm choosing it as a 1D, 2D, or 3D. Remember, as of now, the degrees of freedom represents that the minimum number of positions required to specify an object. Here, like a 3D have a 3 degrees of freedom, 6 degrees of freedom, stating that like it's not like that. In a FEM in terminology, actually 3D have only a 3 degrees of freedom, whereas the 2D have a 6 degrees of freedom. that we will come slowly. But right now, the geometrical wise, you just remember that. So here, to specify this, I need one distance from here to here. That's it. That's a 1D, one length that is sufficient, right? So that's why that's all called as an, that's why it is in a green color. It's no need of any other dimensions. With one dimension, it's becoming a green color. Because these are origin is already fixed position, right? 0, 0 is already represented. So close this and give done. Then you can see this is your 1D element. This is your 1D element line. Just go create a part. This is modeling spaces of a 3D. Type is what and shape is what. Okay. Shape is just a planar that I have created. So now just going on to the property module here. So the property module that I would like to call some material. So I'll use some material over here in the metals. Let's say I already have this as a 304. I'll use the same. Now going on this, I would like to create a section. So I have created a material or I have already copied from my existing libraries. Then I would like to create one section for this. So to create a section, this is where actually it represents it. Create a section. So what kind of a section it is? It's a solid, it's a shell, or it's a beam. It's a beam section. Again, in the beam, actually, it's a beam or a truss. There are two different things involved. So again, in that, we have two different things. Either it's a beam or it's a truss element. So which one that you are going with? You know the difference between a beam and truss, right? So, you know, if your problems actually, if you're not worried about the contact merge, like the friction between the two parts, like in the reinforcement conditions, then you can able to use this particular beams as your solutions. Okay, so I'm leaving it to you guys to understand the difference between a beam and a truss element. As your civil guys, you know very much about this beams and trusses a lot. So now I'm just taking this as a beam. So I would like to name this as a beam and just continue. And now what's a profile name? It is asking about this. So I just need to click on this, create a beam profile. It's a box or a circular, or it's a box. I can just go, it's a box. So I can name this as a box profile. Or it's a L or I section, even that's also I can able to do. So or let's go with the I section. So I'm just going with an I section, click on continue. This is where it is asking me about all the geometries and all that. Now it's where like you have to identify what is an L. So from this point to this, what is the L it is asking, from H it is asking. So if you have all these particular dimensions, then you can able to feed these particular things about. So let's say my height of this is something around some 200 mm is my height. 200 mm is my height. And from my center of gravity to this particular length, it might be around like 150, or like we can go, it's 120 or 135 or 30. And so B1 is like, what's a complete width of it? So the complete width, I can go something like 600 mm I can go. So no, so not 600 mm, like I can just go at something around, too long, or maybe somewhere around like 85 I can go. And B2 is also an 85 I would like to give. What's the thickness of T1? This is where it's a T1, this is where it's a T2. So each having around some 5 mm thick and 5 mm thick. And then it's asking about the T3. So the width actually in between that, again, we can say it's also 5 mm thick. So now just give OK. So this is where I've created my I section. So I'm just give and giving the material as a SS304 for that particular I section. Okay. Now created I section, I created a material. Now this I section I have to assign it to the geometry. So to assign to this particular geometry, then I can use this option as an section. So select this one and just make it as I section done. So it's a beam, that's what that we have to define it. So just give OK. Now once the color changes, actually it indicates that it has been applied with all the material necessary information. As these are the beams, that what we have to do is we have to give an orientation, material orientation to this. So this is where actually the assign a beam orientation. Now you can select this one. You can just give done. So give the default directions of 0, 0, -1, then just give OK. Okay. So orientation is required just to show up what's the material flow directions that you have to define it. So in last class also with the Denise that we have discussed about this, but this is a very important as you have not seen the videos, I'm covering this. It's my mistake that I didn't share my videos also. Yeah. So it's done. Now, if you just go to your view and part display options, and if you go and render a beam profiles and apply over here, now you can see these particular things. Once you render it, you try to rotate this particular model, you can see this particular eye section. That's a perspective view. If you want to make it as a normal thing, then you can turn perspective view off, and automatically you can have a good control on that. So in the visualization. Just give me a second, guys.
I have one question here. So like here you directly made the eye section by giving the property. So in the first one,
sorry, can you repeat it again? I'm losing voice.
In this, we directly made the eye section. Okay, sir. So like in this, am I audible?
Yeah. Tell me, no issues. In this?
So in this, we directly made the eye section. But afterwards, like if I'm in the first one, when we were using the part thing, so in that also we were separately making each and everything and just joining it. Instead of that, if we directly use the property thing, and if we are assembling it each and every property one, so can we do that also?
Yes. Multiple files with multiple properties, with multiple sections. We can do.
So in this we don't have to do that much like shaping, cutting, and this thing. So
no. Directly we can take this as a beam. See, in this actually how it looks is, in reality, it looks like this. This is just a line element. Okay, this is just a line element. I'm taking it. But to this particular line element, I have assigned this as a profile, as a beam. You got me or not?
Yes, sir.
Just a line element only. For my analysis, everywhere it shows that as a line element only. But that line element is assigned with some eye section. So what is, from my understanding, what you are asking is like, sir, we need to create all these things, remove these materials, all those particular conditions is not required. Simply we can able to do it like this. Yes, when your question comes like this is where your solution. But you have to remember this, when I just want to go it as a 1D, this condition should satisfy me.
Okay.
Okay, so let me save this. Okay, so that's what that's the reason I just explained all this. Okay, now it's done. So now going to, if you would like to measure the weight of this particular beam, again that's possible. You just go here for icon query information and click on this mass properties for entire part, or like any set of geometries for entire part, because here only one part, right? So done. So now here you can see this one. This is 0.0143 tons. Because I'm assuming all my geometry is in mm, right? So when my geometry is in mm, my mass should be in tons. Just give me a second, guys. I'll get some water. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. So now going back here, So I can able to measure this particular weights also. That's where like I have this particular tons. Now, when you just go on this, so value that we have is 0.0143. 0.0143. That's where like we have around like 14.3. If you would like to choose this as a grams, you can choose this as a grams. And if you would like to choose this as a milligrams, you can choose. If you would like to choose this as a pounds, you can able to use this. The calculator, I'm using it here because easily you can able to convert all in a single space, right? So that's why I'm just telling you this. So you can able to convert this. This is where like it's around some 15 kgs of a weight that each beam is having. Okay, now on this particular beam, I'm going for assembly. Now I would like to bring that particular beam. So I'll just click on this create an instance. And this particular beam came in picture. So just give okay. Now I brought that one. Now going on here, I'll go at the step. So in the step that in the last class that we have discussed about the Newton-Raphson method, that's where like in the food example that I've explained you, right? So that's where the Newton-Raphson here we have to apply it. And the step that you can go at is like a create a step. And in this general, I would like to choose this as a static general, which is by default, it's going to be selected it. So click continue on it. So I would like to say it's a non-linear geometry because my plasticity condition also it should valid. Or if there is any self-interaction between the part, then it should not penetrate in. So that's why I'll switch on this as a non-linear geometry as an on. And the total time period that I would like to solve this particular problem is for 1 second. It's not about the second, just a time period, unitless time period. And so on the increment, I would like to start calculating this particular problem. That is like, I would like to go with a small spoon, tablespoon or a medium spoon. That's what I need to define it. So I'm just going with a medium spoon or something like that. So total number is 100. So I'm just giving okay. Maximum at a time also I can be able to eat if that's possible. Okay, just give okay. Now going on here, I'll just go up to an interactions. So now in the interaction module that what I can do is I would like to go any kind of a contacts or something. I can able to define it, but I didn't have anything over here. So I'll just go on to the loading. So what we do in the next class that when you have problems or having any kind of a contacts, then we will discuss about the contact algorithms in detail. So before proceeding into any problem, that would be helpful for you. Okay, now after this, this is what an I section. So for this, I would like to apply some boundary conditions. That means like I want to convert this as a cantilever beam, or it's a simply reported beam, or it's a overhanging beam. Where the load is applying it, where not the load is not applying it. So those kind of things that I just need to identify those things about. Okay, so now to getting onto this, like let's say I'm creating some boundary conditions. Creating a boundary conditions. In this boundary condition 1 that you can able to name it for which step that you are trying to solve it is for the step 1 that I'm trying to give the boundary condition. And what is that category? Category is a mechanical, electromagnetic or other. It's a mechanical only. And it's a symmetric encaster, displacement, rotation, velocity, connector displacement, a connector velocity. It's a symmetric encaster, axisymmetric encaster, you can say that. And continue over here. And if you pick a point, and if you just pick a point over here, just give done, then it may ask you like what are the degrees of freedom that you need to arrest in. It's a 3D space that you are solving it, right? So that's why you are trying to arrest it all the 6 degrees of freedom, or you would like to arrest in X symmetric condition, Y symmetric condition, Z symmetric condition, X axis symmetric conditions, Y axis symmetric conditions, and Z axis symmetric conditions. So which one that you want? It's a pin or an encaster. So I'd like to arrest all the degrees of freedom which is already set. So I'll just click on this U1, U2, U3, R1, U2, U3.
Sir,
Just give.
sir,
Yeah.
sir, what was that written over there? Standard only. There was written something standard only. Yes,
Where?
sir. Yes, sir. Standard only.
Hey, where?
So there's a under X. Yes,
Here,
sir.
okay. This is all like nothing. See, when you just say U2, U3, UR1 is equals to the 0, and it has to be used only in standard analysis. It cannot be used in an explicit analysis, these conditions. Like if I just give okay, when I just go to the file, new model databases, here you can see this abacus with standard and explicit model, right? Under where we are working data. So all your static analysis comes under the standard conditions only. Any of your dynamic analysis comes under your explicit conditions. So as we are using the standard conditions, those particular boundary conditions can be used only in a standard analysis. It cannot be used in an
Okay, sir.
explicit analysis.
Okay, sir.
So one second. You guys can hear me right clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If there is any lag, let me know. I'll push my chair a little front. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just fixing on this. Now onto the other side, I would like to apply some kind of a displacement. To apply that displacement, you can go create a load and then you can apply it, or you can go and create a boundary conditions again. So I would like to go and create a boundary conditions again. So it's a boundary condition tool. And this time it is a displacement with the displacement that I would like to play. So I can select this as a displacement and continue. So now I just need to pick this point. Okay, if you want to apply a displacement over here also, that's possible. Slowly I'll come back and I'll tell you that. Now the possible is only this point. So I can just select this one. So I can just name this as a displacement 1. Because I'm going to create a multiple displacement right again and again. So I'll just do that. Now this is asking you like in which directions that you would like to do this. Maybe in the negative y direction, I would like to apply a displacement. Let's say I want to apply it for some 2 mm that I would like to apply this. And remaining all, I'm just leaving it as a free and just give it. Now this is a 2 mm that I have applied it. Now going for the mesh. And this is not assembly level mesh. This is only a part level mesh that I can able to generate it. So clicking on the part. And now I can just click on this, assign an element type. So which type of an element that I need to do for this particular pattern? It's a standard because it's an abacus standard. And the geometric order is also linear. When we go with the Higgs mesh, it's a linear is there. When you go with the Tet mesh, then we have to go for a higher order element. And this is a beam. The element that type that we are going to do here is called as a B31. Okay. And you can go seed the parts. Click on the seed parts. How many number of global size that you wanted? You can go. It's a global size. So as it is 1,000 meters, so if I take it as 100 for every 100 meters, so 1 point it's going to create. That's like nothing but 10 points it will create it. If I just go it as like a 50, 20 points it's going to create it. So apply. So now if you just count this particular points, these are all your 20 points. Okay, if I just go it is like 100, and if you just apply it, these are only a 10 points. This is a 20 points. If I just go ahead as like a 25, then still it may increase. This is how actually you can able to do this one. Just give OK. And now mesh the part. So click on this and click this, then automatically you can able to generate the mesh. Here, if you can see this one, there are the 40 elements have been generated on the part of beam analysis. So there are totally 40 elements it has been available. If you would like to see this particular meshes and all, then go to your view, part display options, remove this render beam profiles, apply, okay. Then here you can able to see this, the number of divisions actually it is happening. So this is where actually show a native mesh, it will show you this. Okay, this is where actually the mesh actually. Suppose I'm going back now, it's a mesh module. I can go back to my load module also whenever I want it. And I can click on this. Now it shows my elements. So now in this element, if I would like to displace some other displacements at the middle, I can also apply that. How to apply that is like, first thing that you have to go to your tools and you have to go set and create one set. And that set is a node, and this is desk2 node. Continue. This is where I would like to select this node. Just give OK. Now go to on your created displacements. Now you can just name this as a disk2 displacements. Now it is asking, instead of creating that, if you can click on this particular sets over here. So click on the sets, then it shows you what are all the sets available already. So disk2 is the one just now we created. It's a node. So continue all this. Now on this again, I would like to apply it as like -1. Now see this one, the 2 dimensions that have been applied here. So now it's all mesh, everything is done. So let me go and rename this as a beam analysis. So file, save as, I'd like to do this as A. Now in the same location, I would like to do this as beam analysis underscore B. It did not allow the spaces. Okay. So parallelization, I would like to go ahead as like a 4-core solutions that I need to use it. I'll teach you those things also, guys. So right click on this and submit for the calculation. And I just go, and if it is running here, first you see it's completed successfully. That means the material properties that you gave or the boundary conditions you gave, everything has been taken correctly, and it is trying to solve the problem. And the next immediately you can see this one, the Abacus standard completed successfully. That means solver has done his job. Then it's saying that finally your solution is succeeded. That's what the information is. All this information, once you right click on this and monitor over here also you can able to see this one. This is what we are talking about this, where it took around like 6 steps to solve this particular problem. So Dennis, if you remember in the last class, I think we took around some 14 or 15 increments to solve this particular problem. That's all depends upon the time interval that you are giving it, how smooth the problem it is. That software will take that particular part automatically. Okay, so in this actually, we have one called as a log file. The other, if there is an error, it's going to show this error messages. Then if any warnings, it will show the warning messages. And this is an output. How many number of steps it has been saved, it shows that. And this is a data file. So that gives you the complete information. And this is a message file, gives you the complete information about the solutions. And this is the status file, how the solution it has been done. So all these files are also available in our folders, where like once if it is end, try to join back on the same link, guys. Okay, so when I just go like an Abacus solving and then this, I have just seen about all this particular thing. Let me take a snapshot of this. Without clicking on anything, we can say, take this. Somehow it is coming, so don't worry. I'm just going here. Let me put on this. So when I just take about these 2 files, this is a CAE file, That way, Abacus can save this particular file, all the information and all, and you can able to open in the Abacus again with the same version, Okay. This is where a JNL file that helps you. Like if you have any older versions, now we are trying to open in a newer version. This JNL file will support you to open that particular part. Okay. And this is a recording file that which is available. So as I have not recorded anything, nothing will record over there. So these two files are called Abacus native format files. These two files are called as an Abacus native format files. And the next word, we have one more thing. That's where we need to talk about this particular DAT file. Okay, so and after this DAT file, again we have one more thing immediately to talk is about the INP file. Okay, this DAT file that gives you the complete story about like complete informations like when the solver starts, what it has been used, how much memory it has been used, all particular log informations, everything that you can able to see in that DAT file. And the INP that gives you how many number of elements are there, what is the each and every element name, I mean the identification number, and what is the node identification number, what is the position of it. So whenever you have an INP file with you, we can able to open this particular thing with any other software. You can able to open in any other softwares, or else we can able to open in any of your other versions on, or else in the same Abacus also you can able to open those particular files. And the next one, this is where actually all the results information stored in this. That's where all the results information stored in this. This is where it gives up the solution status, like whether the problem is solved correctly or not. This gives the information on all. Suppose if you have any problems in your machine, like if you have any kind of an errors or something that you would like to overcome those particular errors by, you have to understand those particular errors and all. So in that particular cases, you have to monitor about this Outlook item. In that particular cases, you have to monitor your Outlook items. So these are all the major parameters that are really helpful for you. This is where it's very important, guys. Each and everything what it is doing it that you should know. Now first we will go up with like an Outlook item. So going here, I will like to open this in a new notepad. You see this one, this is what step one, it's a static analysis, and what are the convergence criteria it will write initially. And then it will start calculating for an each and every step. It calculates the average force, time averaging force, largest residual forces. So all these particular forces it's calculated and check for an equilibrium conditions. Force equilibrium is not achieved within the tolerance limit. Okay, then show that it's going for the next solution. Now see this one, the force equilibrium is, it has been converged and all. So it is the first step, it says that it's not possible. But in the second step, automatically it's saying that it is possible. So by default, if it can able to heal itself, the problem will heal. But if we're not able to heal on its own, then we need to heal them by providing some debugging things. So we need to do all those things. So the momentum has been converged. So like this, you can able to see this one. Your averaging force should always be higher compared with the time averaging forces. Okay, then your problem is going in the right way. Please remember this, guys. When your averaging forces is always higher than that of your time averaging forces, then your problem is always going in a higher way, good way, a good trend. Okay, and coming on this for an each and there are 6 increments, right? And inside the each increment, there are multiple equations. Like if you can see this, so all this particular information it has been stored here. Finally, end the day, you can see this, what's the error, the analysis has been completed. If you have any issues, the analysis has not been completed, you can see this is like that. Totally is 6 increments. So you can see like the analysis warning messages are 0, analysis warning negative interface elements are 0, and the error messages are also 0. So that says that the problem is built. But when you're trying to work it on your problems in a project wise, that you have to look into this, and there are some negative eigenvalues which are acceptable, but if that is a very big number, then we should not accept the solutions. Okay, so like that we have some couple of errors also. So those error messages and all we will be discussing in detail about this thing. So till then, like if you have any queries, guys, please let me know so that we can discuss on those things, or else like we'll move on further. Or if you want me to break it over here so that you want to practice this particular problem, try to practice it and then come back. So on Tuesday again, we'll catch up and then we will discuss it in detail. So that's
sir,
all your wish. Tell me according to
so we will practice this in the next.
can you be a little louder? I don't know. It's problem with my laptop or.
So we will practice this and we will come to you on the Tuesday with if there is a doubt. Is it okay, sir?
Okay, no issues. It's your comfort levels, guys, because you have to understand the basics first. Once you understand the basics, then it's on a very good flow that we can able to do the analysis. So that's why I try to spend more time on basics on it. Try to understand this. Then the problem statement, if it is with me or not, you can able to do that. That's what is my intention. No issues. We can break it here, as we have another half an hour left, so we can break it here. That's not an issue.
So one more thing, sir. So actually, apart from this, I have one personal doubt. Can I ask you? I have something.
Please.
Sir, can I show it?
Yeah. 1 second. I'll make you as a presenter. Yeah. Now you can share yours. So we lost Dennis. It's not there. Yeah, you can share your screen.
Sir, recording. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, recording. Can you stop the recording?
Yeah.